So, you're interested in dumpster diving. Well, this video is going to be hopefully really helpful to you. It is a list of like 8 basic tips on dumpster diving. I've really never seen anyone else do this. I've simply seen live dives and hauls, which I do as well. If you're interested in that, please go look at my other videos. This is one of the first, in fact, the first video I've done on like dumpster diving tips for beginners. So if it's something you're interested in, stay tuned and we'll get started. Okay, so I do have a little notebook that I jotted down some, I guess, key points to go over. And yeah, I think we should probably just start. So my first tip for dumpster diving beginnings, given I have to of course throw in a disclaimer because somebody will say, no, I'm not like extremely experienced. I know that there's been people doing this longer than I have. It's been, I guess, like a little over a year. I think my channel's been about a year, but we've been diving for longer. I didn't start my channel when we first started diving. It was just more like for fun and for reselling and whatever. And again, I always like to give a plug to like who my mentor was in all of this, which is Julie. Her channel is Frugal Family, Dumpster Decor, and More. I'm gonna link it somewhere up here. She has a really great channel. She's very frequent on that channel, and she is kind of what got me into all of this. And therefore, I do feel with my experience that I have and kind of learning on my own, Julie gave me a lot of tips given, but like a lot of this was trial and error, and I just wanted to share it for the world because honestly, I think dumpster diving is amazing. I think it's great for a lot of purposes. I think it's good for your budget, finding things that you're excited about to keep, to eat, to decorate with, like whatever, like you're not spending money. I think it's good for our environment because all of this stuff quite literally will end up in a landfill, and the majority of it isn't gonna like disintegrate into nothing. It's just seriously filling up our landfills, and I promise you'll have a passion. Even if you don't have a passion of that right now, if you start diving, you're gonna have a passion of like how disgusting like we are as humans and how much we throw away. Okay, that's another rant for another day, so let me jump in. So tip number 1 is you need to decide what you want to dive for. This seems really basic. I will say that when I started, I was just eager to find anything. I just wanted it to be a success. I wanted to find whatever. And so yeah, so like we went to a zillion dumpsters, so many dumpsters, and this was good and bad, and let me tell you why that was. Because A, it was a lot of gas and a lot of time. I didn't mind because it was almost like an additional date night for us, and we were doing it every night, so it's like we were having a date night every single night. But it was a lot of time and gas, and so you kind of need to think about that for little reward, because those first like 2 weeks we were going to dumpsters that I thought had potential, which is nothing wrong with that, but I thought like, oh yeah, we'll definitely find stuff in here, like probably in here. And like it turns out a lot of stores ended up having compressors, which I don't dive in compressors. I'm sure some of you have heard of people who do it. I just don't. I don't want to die. And yeah, so compressors, they're locked. Actually, like, yeah, a good 40% of dumpsters in my area are actually locked with like a legit padlock. And of course, if you take that off, that's illegal and you could go to jail. And so, or then the other thing was just like, it turns out the stuff that was in there, I just really wasn't interested in. It didn't fulfill a purpose. So sometimes even when we would find things, I take it and then like I was kind of turning into like a mini hoarder. Like I was like, oh, I'll maybe find something to do with this because like it was for a year, because I don't know. Does that make sense? So decide what you want to dive for. For me and Taylor, we dive pretty much for decor. Food, we dive like relatively okay for food, and things that we can resell. And so that for us, like our bread and butter is candles, and like some of the decor we resell as well. But so that's kind of our big things. I don't dive. Some of the other things you can dive for would be like electronics. I know a lot of people dive at like Best Buy or Apple or GameStop for like games and stuff and the consoles. that just doesn't interest me. I know very little about electronics. I'm not a huge techie person. You guys are like, yeah, no duh, like I've seen your videos, like your editing's awful. But so yeah, so that just not for me. So I didn't do it. For the first little while, I was going to GameStop. Like, why was I going to GameStop? I could have found like a Xbox or something and thought it had a lot of value, and it ended up just being like totally busted, and like I wouldn't know the difference. Or, you know what I mean? So like now it's just like, whatever, I don't care. I don't want to deal with that. I don't have the time. So like, there we go. But that was a waste for me. So like, really think, but you can dive for food, for clothes, electronics, decor, and like there's like tons of other reasons. I choose not to dive for clothes specifically just because like I don't like clothes. Again, it's really just not one of my passions. Clothes and shoes, it's like the same thing for me. Like I don't care. I wear what I wear. In all honesty, half of the things I wear have been bought for me by my sister-in-law or Taylor. I just don't like shopping. I don't know what it is. I just don't like clothes. And so I don't do it. You can see a lot of people's hauls at Victoria's Secret or at Old Navy, or you know, stores like that, and they do get stuff. If the store doesn't destroy, they get awesome stuff. But for me, it's more of a hassle than I want to deal with. I'd rather just stick to what I like, what I get excited about. So there you go. Tip number one, you can even pause this video, get a piece of paper out and say, what do I want to dive for? What's my reason, you know? And I think that's obviously another good point to quickly bring up is, what's your reason for diving? I honestly got into it because I guess I wanted to see if Julie was telling the truth. Julie was in my college class, and we are both English majors, and we were in the same nonfiction writing class. And so it was one of her essays that she talked about dumpster diving. It was very well written. In fact, Julie, if you're watching this, I hope that I can actually see that finished product, because I don't think I ever did. Anyways, and so yeah, she talked about dumpster diving, and I was kind of like, okay, that's too good to be true. Like some of the things she was saying she was finding, I was like, yeah, whatever, lady. So I kind of wanted to see like if she just lived in like a really interesting area or whatever. So I honestly kind of wanted to prove her wrong. I mean, I would never tell her that, like, I'm really nice. I would be like, hey, by the way, dumpster diving's a fluke. But you know, that piqued my interest nonetheless. And then I was really interested in the reselling part. I never in a million years would have guessed that I would have found the stuff that I've found for my home, like things that I actually love and adore, and like I think are going to be in like my house for a very long time. Like my future kids will recognize these items, you know. So it's been awesome. And so yeah, for me it was reselling was a big thing. I wanted to make money, and I have made money. This is already turning into a long video. I'm such a chatter. I'm sorry, you guys. And I'm not good at editing, so I can't like edit things out. So I guess like just bear with me. Let's move on to point two. I'll try to stop talking so much. So number two is research the stores around you. This is super important in my opinion. A couple of our friends have recently started diving. They told us, like, I'm so happy about that. I think that's awesome. If you're watching, you would know who you are because you're the only people who know about my YouTube channel. Like, you guys already know that. So like, good for you. That's really, really awesome. I'm so happy. Like I said, I'm passionate about it. Let's save our environment together, rock and roll. But they had driven what I think is quite a long way, and I'm not like hashing it out with you guys. Like, it is your life, do what you want. What I've found to be successful, like genuinely successful, is to research the stores around you. Again, this comes into what are you diving for. If you're just wanting to find like literally anything, then like rock and roll, do it. But like research the stores around you, mark the ones that pique your interest. For me, it's like World Market, some of the malls, I'm like trying to think what else, like, I don't know, what else piques my interest. Where's the other ones that we go to? You guys probably know better than I do. We do go to PetSmart a decent amount for dog food for my mother-in-law. Like, so these are like things that we always go check. It's within a very close radius to us. Occasionally when we're feeling a little crazy, we'll maybe go to a different shopping plaza, like, you know, whatever. But so like set a mile limit, because gas equals money and like time equals money in my opinion. So throwing that out there. And then I would decide, like I kind of said, like 3 or 4 stores to constantly kind of hit up, so to speak. Like, you need to go often. That is, yeah, our first night dumpster diving, we went to like a zillion dumpsters and found one pair of like extremely beat up shoes in a Payless dumpster. Like, they were just like returns, or like maybe not even that. They were like completely beat up, and I was like, oh, okay, like this is awful. This is not worth my time. Turns out it was worth my time. The biggest problem is like that first like 2 weeks, I guess, we would go to like a zillion dumpsters over kind of a wide area, but we were only going like every 3 days. And so like chances are we were just missing the dumping schedule. So what ended up working is, it was like, okay, listen, like we're not gonna find anything in Ulta. We're not gonna find anything in Bed Bath & Beyond. Like, those were stores that we were like really like lucking out with, or they just like damaged the stuff beyond repair. And so it was like, okay, let's stick to these 3 or 4 stores and let's check them every night. Once we started doing that, our first week of like really diving every night, we found so much stuff. I was shocked. We found, I think I might have a video of this, one of my first videos. We found like 100 Yankee candles. Like, it was insane because they have a dumping schedule. Some stores kind of throw things away every night, and then some literally wait once a week or once a month and toss it all. So you really have to be consistent. So like, don't waste your time and money. Pick those 3 or 4 dumpsters that you're interested in for whatever your purposes are. Check them every night. Boom, 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 boom. And then I would say do it for 2 weeks before you give up. If you do it for 2 weeks, like honestly, I'd say like do it for a month, but like I know like maybe that's not realistic, but do it for 2 weeks. And if you're really striking out, then maybe I'd consider moving to a new area. But like, you just really don't know. I guess you don't know until you try. You have to be consistent with dumpster diving. I feel like anyone would tell you that. So tip number 3 is have a place for your finds at home. Yeah. And like, decide what you're doing. If you're reselling, then you probably want like some sort of like a storage area and an organizational thing going on. Don't go and buy stuff for this. That kind of defeats the point of dumpster diving. Just like start getting some boxes out of the bins, some bigger boxes. Like, I put all of like mine roughly, and of course I'm a little disorganized, like give me a break. Like, I'm just giving tips for what I want to do, trying to do what I think is successful when I actually do it. Have a couple boxes, write on it. Like, so we found a ton, you guys saw in a video a little bit ago, a ton of Spencer's clothing from the store, all brand new. And a lot of it was Christmas and kind of fun Christmas stuff, but I can't resell that really right now. I mean, maybe I could. And a lot of also like character lingerie, which I think would sell really well at Halloween. And so what I've done is I put them each in a box. I put all of my Christmas stuff, and I plan on selling it at a store. It's kind of like Plato's Closet, but not really. They take it and they take, oh my gosh, is it 20%? It's like 20, yeah, I think it's 20%. So they keep it in their store. It's a consignment store for clothes. It's really cool. You probably have it. And because of that, like, I think with what this last load that I took to them that wasn't Christmas, I got $80 so far. There are a couple items that still haven't sold, but $80. Whereas if I would have taken this stuff to Plato's, maybe they would have given me like 20 bucks for it. So it's kind of like, do you want the money immediately, or do you want to just like hold it out? Like, it's been like a month, and like wait for the month and get 80 bucks. Up to you. There you go. So yeah, just decide what you want to do with it. But I put all of my Christmas stuff in a box and then marked it with that store name. I put like Christmas and then the store name that I plan on selling it at. So I know as like the holidays start approaching, I should take that box and go sell it. Or like when Halloween starts approaching, it says Halloween lingerie, I can pick it up and go sell it then. So like, just kind of keep this cycle, because you guys know that you find things off season. Candles are totally different. I can sell candles any minute of the day and they'll sell within like 5 minutes. So just kind of have a place for them, or else you're gonna turn into a hoarder. That kind of happened to us when we first started diving. We were living in my father-in-law's basement, and like the basement was just like, because I didn't organize, I didn't know what I was doing with it. Anyway, so just have a place for your stuff. It'll make life easier. That goes into tip number 4, which is put a towel or a blanket in your car, like on the back seat or in the trunk. Again, we kind of learned this the hard way. It's kind of like a no duh moment, and maybe you guys are way more responsible than I am, but yeah, like stuff would get gunky in our car. Like, we're diving at Bath and Body Works and like lotion, and we have a brand new car. And so it's like, wow, I can't believe, like, why didn't we do this sooner? Yeah, and so like just lay something down on the back seat or in the trunk, or if you have rubber mats, I guess it doesn't really matter. And that just protects your car. Pretty simple. Tip number 5 is like my most important thing is keeping hand sanitizer in the car, because sometimes like as much as like it really isn't that gnarly, I think people think it's more gross than you like that. I don't know, it's really not gross. And I'm a super big germaphobe. If you guys have seen some of my other videos where I'm like going through souped bags, and that's just lotion. I'm kind of like, I genuinely am having like an anxiety attack. I have a really weird thing about things getting on my hands.